We are in the second lesson talking about the parables of Yeshua. The first lesson I used the name Jesus. I used the name Jesus because most people in the world, that's their convention. They call the Messiah Jesus. However, the name Jesus is in Greek. It is a Greek transliteration of the Hebrew Yeshua. And from the second lesson I decided to introduce you to the Hebrew name of what is called in the Western world Jesus, because Jesus is a transliteration to the Greek from the Hebrew. We are here in the land of Israel and the city of Jerusalem. Why should we use the Greek? We'll use the native language, the language that Yeshua spoke, the language which the parables were originally spoken, and although we have the New Testament in Greek today, but below the Greek, the Hebrew is glaring. And everybody who studies the New Testament in Greek knows very well that the Greek of the New Testament is not like any other Greek. In the Roman Greek, it's not like any other Greek in the Greco-Roman world. So we are going to return to talk about the parables of Yeshua. And since we are here just a few days before the Passover in Israel, I'm going to start with the parable of the four soils, or the parable of the seeds, the way it is called. It appears again in chapter 13 of the Gospel of Mathew. And before I enter into the New Testament text, I want to tell you something about the Passover Haggadah that is connected with this parable. In the Passover Haggadah, in the beginning of the Haggadah, appears a section that all the children like to hear, and it is stated about the four sons of the Torah. And they are four: the wise one, the wicked one, the simple one, and the one who doesn't know even how to ask a question. Why are there four sons? Because in the Semitic world, everything was divided into four different categories: consensus, the good and the bad, and then the two medium ones that are neither good nor bad, or good and bad, the way you want to look at it. One is white, one is black, and the other ones are two grays. In the Greco-Roman world, everything is very simple. It's either good or bad, black or white. And if the cowboy wears a black hat, he is bad. If he wears a white hat, he is good. And everything is very categorized. In Judaism, it's a little bit more complicated. We have the medium. We have the gray. And like in the bell curve, most of us are in the middle. We're not absolutely good. We're not absolutely bad. We are people who try to be good. Sometimes we succeed. Sometimes we fail. We are in the gray, in the medium. And in the parable of Yeshua, we have the classical Semitic division, just like in the four sons of the Haggadah. The evil son in the Haggadah is somebody who is takes himself out of the public. He separates himself. He doesn't want to know what's happening. He doesn't want to get involved. He has his own agenda, and he has his own way of looking at things. The good one is one who is inclusive, who is involved with God and with the God's program, and he wants to spread the good news of why God took us out of the land of Egypt. The simple one asks, what is this? What are we doing here? It's all about? And the one that doesn't have a question, that doesn't know how to ask even a question, it's our responsibility, the responsibility of the other two sons, to explain to him, to open up to him, and to guide him. So those are the four categories in the four sons in the Haggadah. Now let me read to you the parable of Jesus from Mathew chapter 13, and I will start in verse 1 as a kind of an introduction of what's going on. That same day, Yeshua went out of the house, and he sat by the lake. Such large crowds gathered around him that he got into a boat and sat in it while all the people stood on the shore. When he told them many things in parables, saying, a farmer went out to sow the seed, and he was scattering the seed. Some fell along the path, and the birds came and ate it up. Some fell on rocky places where it did not have much soil. It sprang up quickly because the soil was shallow. But when the sun came up, the plants were scorched and they withered because they had no root. Other seed fell among the thorns, which grew up and choked the plants. Still others fell on good soil. When it produced a crop, 100, 60, or 30 times what it was sown. He who has ears, let him hear. That's the parable of Yeshua. And I want to remind you that parables have secrets in them, and usually they're political. The seed in this parable is talking about people, and specifically about the people of Israel, because that's the most common use of the word seed in the gospel. And the context here, Yeshua is not talking to the Baptist church or Pentecostal church or Presbyterian church. Yeshua is talking to the Jewish people, to his disciples. So the seed is the people, and specifically in the context of the first century, people of Israel. And it says in the people of Israel there's 4 kinds of people. There is the wicked, that nothing happens, that the devil comes and snatches it from the pathway. There is the good that produces good fruit, although different amounts. Each individual has different talents, different gifting, and we know that from other parables of Yeshua. But all the good produce something. If it's 30 or 60 or 100-fold, it's something. And then you've got the 2 middle ones that actually they want to grow. The seed that fell on the rough ground wants to grow, and it grows quickly, and the sun dries it up. Then the seed that fell in the thorny ground, it chokes because of the thorns that surround it and take away his light and his water and his nourishment. But all seeds, except the wicked one, are trying. They're doing their best they can under the circumstances. In Judaism, we look at that as a good thing. Not all 4 are bad. In Western civilization, only one is good. In our way of thinking, even those that tried and are in the medium, they get some points. They get something. Even though they didn't succeed, they tried. For us, this parable is very positive. And Yeshua is trying to bring this parable to his disciples in order to tell them that the majority of the people of Israel at that time, and the majority of the people today, whether it's in Israel or in the churches or in the Western world, are trying. And they're not bad. They're in the gray, but they are not totally wicked, like the one that doesn't want to know of anything. This parable is very, very important, and probably we're going to talk about this parable another time. But for now, I wish you all a happy Passover. God bless you, and keep learning from the wisdom of Yeshua, our Messiah.